You know how fast you were going?
What? How fast you were going?
I don't know. 10?
8.
Be advised, this is an explicit podcast. If you're easily offended, get your panties twisted into a knot. Leave now. Run to your safe space. Get your little cloth for your tears. All the opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and his guest and do not reflect the opinions of any local or government agency. Welcome to MOTORCOP Chronicles podcast. I'm your host, Iceman, as always. We have a guest this evening. Let's get the housekeeping out the way as usual. If you want a great cigar, go to mypatriotcigar.com. Use the promo code MOTORCOP15. Get 15% off your order. If you order $100 or more, you'll get free shipping. These are really good cigars. So if you like to smoke them, drink some whiskey or something, go get you some. If you want any merchandise, T-shirts, candles, got that new candle I got out, Cocaine and Hookers. It don't smell like it, but it's a good conversation piece. You can go either to MotorCopChronicles.com or and go to the merch section or just go to the Etsy store itself, MotorCop Chronicles Podcast. Get you some merchandise. If you want extra episodes, I have a lot of episodes out, pictures, videos, so forth. It's on the Patreon, 3 different tiers, and you get a whole bunch extra. Speaking of, we have our full crew members. We have Miss Kelly Meyer. We got Jared Nitrous, MotorCop for Life. We got Mr. William Gibo Jr. We got Dan Carlson with Burley Boards. Y'all know you can use his handmade cutting boards to spank your kids, hit burglars in the face with, or spank your wife if you're into that. We have T-Bird. We got our favorite truck driver, Mr. Hoppy Hopperson. We got Blake Walker, AA Ron, which I had to say a podcast, always putting out great content. Mr. Z Palmer, that's Roy Spalding, Roy with the S, not Roy with the P. Our favorite girl from down under, JoJo, and Natasha A. from the great state of Washington. Appreciate y'all. Help me pay the bills, keeping the lights on. So without further ado, we're going to introduce Mr. Glen Williams. He's retired, and he's also written a book, and he teaches classes. How you doing, sir?
Doing really well. And you, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm above ground, and I'm breathing. So, I mean, it's always a good day when that's going on.
Not a bad way to start today.
Tell the people what you did or where you did it if you want, and a little background on you.
I was an officer and a detective for 26 years. I worked 20 years at a city of about 150,000 in Utah. And then I retired from there, and I worked 6 years for the transit police in the Salt Lake area. That was a wild ride.
What, transit police?
Yeah, that was completely different than just being an officer and a detective, and a whole different clientele. So, I think I got as many fights in 6 years there as I did in 20 years at the other place.
You really wouldn't think that would be that worse. You people, I guess public transportation people are just rude.
Well, you get a little different clientele. You get some of those that can't afford cars and are a little on the poorer spectrum in the big city, and a lot of those folks are criminals.
Oh, come on now. They all going to church.
I'm not sure I want to go to that church, but okay.
Church. I told somebody one time, I said, I want to do my own criminal college course 101, teaching, because they got to have a class somewhere. Because the first thing is to do is just totally refuse whatever the cop tells you to do. Second of all, say, I ain't do nothing. It wasn't me. You're harassing me. You're racist. Then when he does go to arrest you or her, you holler, I'm not resisting while you were resisting the entire time. Because if you're hollering, I'm not resisting, while you're resisting, it cancels each other out. It's like eating French fries and drinking a Diet Coke. Okay, it cancels each other out. Then after you are arrested, you have to holler, or even before they get you in handcuffs, you have to holler, "I can't breathe," at the top of your lungs with all this oxygen in your lungs. You have to holler, "I can't breathe." So, I mean, it's just like, I'm just going down the list here.
Yeah. Buy the playbook, baby.
Yeah, I mean, it is the playbook. I mean, it's every one of them. It's like, "I can't breathe." It's like you're sitting up in your own car. I'm not even touching you yet.
And you're yelling, screaming. If you're not breathing, you wouldn't be doing that.
I don't understand where they figure if you don't have any oxygen or air going into your lungs, you're not making any sound. That's the noise when you can't breathe.
Well, common sense. What's that?
Oh no, they didn't have that on sale at Walmart.
No.
No common sense whatsoever nowadays. But so that just shocking to me that they was worse at train. I guess so. You know, people down there. You got they have a. They don't have a subway system down there, do they, in Salt Lake?
No, it's open rails.
Okay.
Yeah, and they've got the transit trains. And man, when I was working there, I worked there for 2 years part time and 5 years, 6 years full time, and they expanded the system like crazy. It stretches now, man, 75 miles from north to south.
You know what gets me is most people know you know. So especially Salt Lake City, Utah is a predominantly Mormon state, or used to be.
Yeah.
And you'd think, Mormons are very, religious people. You wouldn't think they have that much crime there, but they do.
But they make great victims.
Everybody does. Everybody does. I've seen a thing on TikTok today. I was scrolling and come across a live feed, and they were protesting. They were marching in New York City. Go figure. For Gaza. It's like
yeah.
Then the cops came. The cops came and were arresting some of them, and I was on this person's thing saying, "Cuff them, cuff them."
Well, that's like Florida had the same thing, and they cleaned them out in about 15 minutes.
Oh, Florida's not going to put up with that. Yeah.
Blocking the Golden Gate Bridge, and then one's in New York blocking some freeway there, and they just let them sit there, and the officers are standing behind them protecting them.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. Move out the way. I got my co-host on Wednesday when we do news. He's all into water cannons. He wants like high-powered water cannons and just wash them out the street like the pieces of shit they are. So he wants water cannons so bad.
Well, and how about these ones that are cementing their hands to the?
I say just leave them there and drive around them.
Yeah.
I mean, just let them there. They're eventually going to get hungry.
And good luck feeding when you can't move your hands.
Well, we had some protesters come down. Louisiana, we got chemical plants, right? We had some of these Yankee protesters come down here. Some of these Save the Planet people came down here and decided to. They put their hands in these metal things and they lock them in there. And they did this on a pipeline they were putting in through the swamp area. And this was like in July in the bayou in Louisiana. Okay. It's 100 degrees without the humidity. So they there, and it's like, okay, it's like
the mosquitoes and the bugs. And
so the guy that had to go out and sit with him, so he went out there and he pulled his unit up like right next to him so he could watch him. And all those that hot engine was like right there next to him. I think he lasted like 15 minutes. I think the dude gave up. He's about to die from the heat. He's just parked next to him. It's like, yeah, have some of this engine heat while you're at it too. Yeah, he lasted about 15 minutes and he unhooked himself and went to jail. It's like, this ain't up north, buddy. They tried Naked Afraid in this area in the Chaffalay Basin and twice, and they made it less than 24 hours. Okay.
And I got to say, unfortunately, those are Yankees, but there's some other good Yankees up here. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, I met some good Yankees. Y'all just y'all just don't know what food is.
Yeah, we want no part of those idiots.
So we were talking earlier. Do you have any funny stories you want to tell before we get into any serious stuff?
Well, sure. I remember one time I was a new cop, and we were getting a Louisiana-style rainstorm, which we don't get up here. And I mean, it was like the clouds were gathering for the tornado, but there was no tornado, and the rain and lightning, and it was crazy. And so about 2 a.m, get an alarm call at a local business, the local McDonald's, and being the rookie on the squad, guess who got it? Because everybody else was hunkered down in the station doing paperwork. And so I got to go out, and water's about ankle deep in the parking lot, and I pull in behind and go up to the steel door. It's secure, nothing there. Sneak up the side of the building, look in the drive-through, nobody inside, no lights, nothing. Lightning's flashing and crashing, and I'm kind of hunkering down because it's hitting close and it's loud. And as I came past the side door, checked it was closed, and I went around the front corner out where there was the kids' playground, and all of a sudden the lightning hit, and this large, I don't know what it was, but loomed over me, and I thought I was being attacked. And I reached down to grab my weapon, and as I leaned back and put my hand over my head to protect myself and drew my weapon, I looked up, and the lightning subsided, and there was about a 7-foot-tall plastic Ronald McDonald standing there.
I was going to say Grimace or something.
About to put a hole in Ronald McDonald. So, luckily I'm glad I didn't. And I actually went back to get a picture of that for my book, and it was gone because apparently people don't like clowns anymore.
Well, when you said the playground for the kids, I was like, "Ooh, that's a long time ago." They don't have playgrounds for the kids at none of these places anymore. I think Chick-fil-A might still have them, but other than that, they don't have them.
No, they don't. I went back, and there was nothing there out front. They have a place inside now.
No, because none of our McDonald's have any kind of play areas. I remember back, we had, they had that hamburger you could climb up in, all the way to the top, and they had all kind of, metal stuff that you could hurt yourself on.
So, yeah, that was probably about 1993, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I almost shot a teddy bear one time. Doing an alarm call, found an open door, went in there, and he was like one of them big giant, like life-size ones. And somebody had put like a freaking baseball hat and T-shirt on it, and I'm clearing this house by myself. And I come around the corner, and all I saw was this, thought it was somebody just sitting on the bed. Thank God I didn't pull the trigger, too. It's like, oh, my God. I almost shot Teddy Ruxpin right in the face.
Yeah, that wouldn't have gone over well. In fact, neither one of those would have.
No. You never had to deal with it like I know you had to with transit, people running around naked and stuff with the...
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's unfortunately not unusual anymore. And so trying to take them into custody was always the tricky part, especially if they were the opposite gender. And, there was always a lot of...
She ain't got to search them.
Pardon?
No, she ain't got to search them.
That's true. That's true.
They got to...
grab those wrists, and they're sweaty and it's slick, and there's nothing, no clothing to... Yeah,
and it's never the ones they're like, oh, you're a naked woman that you didn't want to see it. It's not like on TV. It's not like she's like a -3 or something like that.
Yeah, it was always some 5-year-old meth head that looked like she was 100.
Oh yeah, well we had they got a sergeant that works with us. I nicknamed him Sergeant Poppycock because I pulled up on them one day and they were arresting a whole bunch of people, and I was standing there just, and he was arresting this guy, and he searched him down, and I was watching him. He did a really good job of searching him. He did it twice, and I was like, he put the guy in the car, and I just kind of looked at him. I said, you didn't, feel that? He's like, what are you talking about? He didn't have gloves on or nothing. I said, that dude's dick sticking out of his pants. He got a hole in his pants, and the dick was hanging out of it. I said, you grabbed it twice. He's like, no, I didn't. I'm like, oh, yes, you did. He opened the back door of the unit where he just put the dude out, and the dude's sitting back there handcuffed, and the dick's just laying out on the side of his pants. And he went, shit, and he closed the door. And I was like, you know, I mean, you had another man's dick in your hand twice with no gloves on. I said, this guy's going to go to jail. He don't even care he's going to jail. He's going to everybody to jail, and told him that the sergeant gave him a hand job. That's when I gave him that nickname, Poppycock. But yeah, I was like, how could you not feel that? Yeah, he'll never live that one down.
Oh, I'm sure that's the one thing in his career he's going to want to forget.
Oh yeah.
I think probably all have some of those though.
Yeah, well, I've never grabbed just said, oh, what's this? Nah, I can't say I did that one. I've had some of them, it's just like, God, it's like, put it up, or stuff like that. But it's just...
Well, yeah, some of the people we work with or deal with, are interesting.
Well, nowadays we also got these younger cops coming up that are totally different breed. And
yeah, I haven't. Luckily I'm out and been out long enough. I'm not having to deal with some of the really new stuff.
Oh, you're lucky.
Good.
You're lucky. They got some little liberal cops out there. Put it that way.
Well, that may be what the plan is. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it is. Cause they're like, I'm old school. That's why everybody's like, it's time for me to retire as soon as I can, because I'm still I'll walk up to somebody and snatch them in a heartbeat. I'm not scared to put my hands on people. These new cops, these young ones, they don't know what to do. They're like scared to touch people. They just want to tase people and shit.
Well, we had one guy that was that way. His partner's in a fight, rolling on the ground with this guy, and he's standing there going, "You shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that." He was fired about 4 days later. Well,
I'd have probably got fired because after I finished dealing with the bad guy, I got up and punched him in his face for not helping me.
Yeah.
But I was like, I realized it. About a year ago now, and I was actually a backup officer and got there first, because I'm on a motorcycle, and I was dealing with a juvenile, and I ended up snatching his phone out this kid's hand. He was on FaceTime with his mom, who he didn't even live with. And I looked at her. I said, "You see my face?" She's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Good." Click, and I hung up on her. Talked to Mr. Click, and the rookie cop was there. I'm pretty sure he's shitting his pants when I did that. I wasn't going to deal with it. She was instigating,
Yeah.
All you got to do is articulate yourself to your admin if they call you in about it, which I would have. I said, "Don't worry about it." She saw who it was. Calm down there, Cletus.
Yeah, and it's solved the issue.
Yeah, the new breed. I had a discussion with one, and I was like, I finally looked at him and said, "You ever been punched in the face really hard?" "Well, no." I said, "That's your problem."
Yeah, you got to be in a few tussles, and that's one thing. Being a cop, and be comfortable getting on the ground too, because everything ends up on the ground.
Oh, my wife tells me, sometimes she's like, they can't hear you, right? 'Cause I'll be hollering at the TV. I'll be watching some body cam video or something. I'm like, that's like, all right, you done told him you were going to taser him 10 times now. Okay?
Do it.
I'm going to say, hey, if you don't do this, because I look at somebody, I had a sovereign citizen one time. I said, this is how this is going to be. When I handed him his little papers back through this cracking window, I said, you're going to give me some kind of legal state form of ID, or I'm going to break this window and I'm going to pull you out of this car by your head. Do you understand me? Well, he went, so I said, do you understand what I just said? Yeah. I said, all right. I waited a second. He handed it to me because I think he realized that I wasn't playing. That was the only time I was going to tell. I warned him. Anyway, he gave me his ID and everything. And, of course, he's going to try to fight the ticket and stuff I gave to him in court. the judge was like, he told the judge, he's like, well, he told me if I didn't give him my ID, he was going to break my window out and pull me out the car by my head. And the judge said, and?
Yeah, that wasn't the.
And I mean, the issue is, I mean, you gave me your ID, right? Okay, so what's the issue? Well, it wasn't a threat. It was a promise. I would have broke your window out and pulled you out by your head.
That reminds me of these, and I'm not even sure what they're called anymore, but the guys that bring up like 1670 law and, and stuff. And that, cops are not official representatives of the government and law enforcement. Only the elected sheriff is. I can't remember what they call them, but
well, we got these auditors now too that want to go around and stick cameras in everybody's faces. Only thing I can figure is these are people that were bullied in school by other kids now, and or were molested by their parents at one point, and
now they're
And this is the only way they can get back is because they know they can call the cops names and cuss on them while they got a camera in their face because they know that. I said one day they're going to mess with the wrong one that just don't care.
Yeah, Florida passed a law; they can't get within a certain number of feet of an officer on an active case. Our new governor, we got a good governor right now. It's almost, I think it's got to get through the House or something, but they're passing, it should clear. They're making it where they have to stay at least 25 feet away from you. If I tell them, hey, back up, you got to stay 25 feet back. You can videotape me all you want because they get so close. I mean, basically they're interfering with you. Oh, yeah, they get right in your face.
So they have to stay back 25 feet, which, great. Somebody asked me, what you going to do when you retire? I said, I don't know. I might find some of them auditors we have, because we have some out in this area. I said, and find them, and I'll follow them around, following the cops around, and I want to videotape them while they're videotaping the cops. I'm going to audit the auditor.
I love it, yeah.
I said, because
if you're a cop, you just have to make sure where the threat is and put the auditor between you and the threat.
Oh yeah, it's like don't walk up on me while I'm doing traffic stop. I don't know you. I mean, how do I know you're not about to ambush me or nothing like that?
Yeah.
What's your name and badge number? First of all, my name's on my shirt. Okay. It's like just shut up. What's your name? What's your badge number?
When you just pull a badge off and go, number 2 out of 10.
Kellogg's. They're great. Oh yeah, they get. I try to watch some of it sometimes, and it's just like God. I can only take so much of it, and I start getting mad. Yeah,
it gets annoying as hell.
Well, they want somebody. They want somebody to do something to them so they can sue because they don't have a job.
Yeah, and they'll probably couldn't hold one if they had one.
No, like the one out here, I think still lives with his daddy, and he's like 40 or something.
Wow.
So, yeah. If we had basements, you'd probably live in that.
Yep. Here's your song.
So you did write a book, also.
Yeah. Well, when I was dealing with, I got PTSD probably, and looking back, it was probably about 8 or 9 years on the job when it kind of started. You see, you guys are cops. You see all the stuff that nobody else wants to see, and you deal with the people that nobody else wants to deal with, and eventually it gets to you. And I don't know a cop that's been on 10 years that doesn't have some form of trauma. And so, when I retired, I wrote a book called Bridging the Gap, an inside look at communication relations after trauma, to help reduce the effects of PTSD, divorce, and suicide, because I screwed it all up. I did it wrong. I don't have a PhD. I'm not a doctor, but I did it all wrong. I'm just man on the street, and I did it all wrong, but I learned from it. And I ended up divorced, bankrupt, lost everything, and I finally kind of figured some things out that was, could I blame it on my spouse? Oh, easy. Yeah. And I'm a slow learner. I tried it twice, divorced twice. And I could blame things on each of the spouses, but the problem was the common factor was me.
Yep.
And I had to really get self-accountable and look at that.
Oh, I've been divorced more than that, but Of course, I could make up excuses. I did for a long time, make up excuses on why it was their fault.
Yep.
But the common denominator in each one of them was me.
And it's, we look at that, then we've got to really take that hard look and put some work into it. And that's what I find when I teach my classes. I was a firearms instructor, active shooter instructor, all that stuff. And if I put on one of those classes, it's full.
Oh, yeah.
But if I put a class about looking into yourself and taking a hard look, that's the one thing I've discovered most cops are the most afraid of.
Oh, yeah. We can, we're good at trying to fix everybody else's problems and not fixing our own. We're horrible at it.
Yeah. It's horrible at it if we even admit we have a problem.
Oh, yeah. It's put it this way. So I've been doing this almost 30 years. So, and a lot of people listen to me in the podcast. They know how I am. I'm a jokester, almost all the time and stuff like that. But, well, like I said, a lot of stuff sometimes they don't know except when they're listening to me. It's just like this morning. My ass was up at 3 a.m. this morning. I didn't have to be up that early for work. But somebody woke up out of a deep sleep and then couldn't go back to sleep. I don't have to explain that to you. You already know, it's just it is what it is sometimes. I mean, my thing is I don't have a problem going to sleep. My issue is staying asleep because it's what's bouncing around in the old noggin up there while you're sleeping you don't have no control over.
It still happens to me. I mean, I've been retired now for 8 years, and it still happens to me. I had that happen once. I'm writing another book about a cop, of course, fiction. And so that night, when I woke up at 3:30 or 4, I just went into my office, and my hero that night couldn't sleep. And so got some really good detail in there because I could tell exactly how he was feeling.
Wake up. Sometimes, you wake up because you're drenched in sweat. I'm talking like sheets are soaking and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like, and like I said, most everybody knows listening to me. I'm a jokester. I like to bitch about stuff, but I also, some of the serious ones I've talked about. It's like I said this yesterday when I had talked to this other lady. She was a dispatcher, and she suffered from it bad too. She had some. The last call that finally did her in is she was a dispatcher on the officer-involved shooting, and the officer didn't make it. So then that one took its toll on her. She's retired now, and she talks about post-traumatic stress and stuff. And people don't realize that I said yesterday. I was like, sometimes I have actually sat back and thought sometimes of if I wouldn't have chosen to end up being in this career, who I would be now at the same age, which I'm 53, and I think I'm 53. Yeah, who I would be, because I can tell you I'd be a totally different person than who I am right now, because this job it changes you. I'm not the same person. When I was 23, 24 years old when I started doing this, I was not the same person I am today.
No. None of us were. And right now I have a challenge for you.
What's that? I
was watching a documentary last year, and it's all called "Is There Something Going On at Home?" Take a look at it, brother.
Oh, well, I got to say, when you called earlier, because I'll be honest with you, I had my times messed up again, and old Glenn called me, and I'm like, uh-oh. And I was actually outside feeding goats and stuff. I don't know if you can hear them in the background. I have found, for me anyway, the goats are actually this huge ass stress relief for me. I don't raise them for meat. I don't raise them to milk. They eat grass because I have a field and stuff, but we go outside and we feed them treats. I sit down, I pet on them and play with them, and on the weekends I go outside and build stuff. I mean, it's been a big stress reliever for me. Keeps my mind.
Animals are awesome. I have my dog.
Well, we got Duke. He was right there. I got Duke the dog too. He's one of the mascots for the show.
And then you go out and it just totally sets your mind free off the shit.
Oh yeah, Because like I said, there's stuff that, you know, I don't talk about on here that I've had to deal with. Because, you know, most people, you shouldn't have to see some of the crap we've had to see.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You know, that's what one thing. Another thing, too, is journaling. And that's what kind of started my book, is I actually started writing some things down that I never talked about. And what's funny is once I finished the book, and then other things started coming in that I had blocked out. And they started coming back, and now I'm wishing I had put them in the book.
Well, I've made mention before, if any like newer police officers, deputies, law enforcement people, even firemen, where first learn, when you encounter or deal with something, write it down, period. Because you'll say, oh, I'm going to remember this for later. You won't, especially if you do a whole career. I wish I would have back then, because I'll be talking to somebody and something will trigger. It's like, oh, I totally remember something that, you know, you think would be unforgettable or something like that, that you'll come back up. And it's like, so just write it down, because 20 years later, you're not going to remember this one incident that happened way back then, because you're going to have so many other incidents in between here and there. So yeah, absolutely. Write it all down.
Absolutely true. And when you get to be our age,
I forget where I put my phone sometimes. I look at the wife and say, "Where's my phone? Can you call it?" I mean, just thank God for these Apple Watches. You got the little thing I can push and it makes it. And there's Alexa just talking by herself. And Alexa, stop. Thank you. Just
That command is not supported for this stream.
Now she's gonna fuss at me, but oh yeah, I lose my phone sometimes.
Yeah, how many times a day?
Oh yeah, I'll be looking for, or my glasses.
Yeah, oh yeah.
These are cheater glasses. I got cheaters all over the freaking place, like everywhere. Yep. I'm like losing them. Like, where is that?
And if we can't remember, I mean, yeah, it's stuff that happened, 20, 25, 30 years ago now, you're not going to remember it the same way either.
I don't know. And I also talk about, which you can probably agree with me on this one. I've done it. I see some other younger guys do it now. We know the job, especially, well, I can't complain about my pay now. Of course, I'm close to retirement. So, I've been through a lot of step increases and stuff. But newer guys coming in, you work a lot. You'll have details or, and all this other stuff like that. And I'll say, don't ever put this job in front of your family.
Amen.
Because I can't tell you how many, I don't know about you, I was going to ask you before, saying you've been through divorces and how you were and all that stuff. Like, do you get along okay with your kids?
Yeah.
Or they dislike you?
Well, it took some work, but no, once I changed the way I did things, we've gotten to be very close now. But it took a while.
Well, I'm glad you did. Me and my daughter still talk, not as much. We're not as close as I would like. It's me and my son. All I know is that he lives in Texas somewhere. That's it. Yeah. He just totally, he don't speak to me. Of course, my son is an ultra liberal, wants to protest against the cops, which I am a cop. I'm like, so we don't see eye to eye, and I can put the politics aside when it comes to my kids, and he can't. But so yeah, but just the job will definitely can hurt you with your kids too. So don't put the job, because I'm gonna say I've seen too many cops do it, and you can't get them birthday parties back, them ball games back. No. You have to work some holidays because you're scheduled, but don't if you know something's coming up, don't work extra for it. That money's not going to be there. They're not going to remember the money, but they'll remember if you were there at a ball game or something.
Yeah, it's crazy when we do that, and I don't know. I've done it. I remember volunteering. I was the only officer in my shift that lived in the city. So Christmas morning, I volunteered to take all the calls because the other guys were would have to come from their city, leave their families for long. And I never even thought, well, stupid shit, you're leaving your own family. What the you doing?
Well, I know what you're doing. You're doing, because I've done stuff, and it's like you're thinking of your shift guys trying to be nice.
Yeah, being a team
Well,
player.
let me tell you what about that team player thing. I've talked about this, and I don't know if you agree with me on this or not, but I have talked about it in the past. They always say the thin blue line. I don't call it thin blue line. It's the paper thin line, okay?
Amen. Yeah.
'Cause let me tell you what, whenever you leave a department or you retire, you're going. And don't, some people may disagree with me I don't care. This is how I feel because I've experienced it. You're a number, okay? You're a number with the department. You quit, you leave, you get fired, you retire, or whatever. Guess what? They're going to give somebody else your number and they're going to move on. Within 4 to 5 years, most of the people in the department won't even know you ever existed because they'll have new people there. You're not a legacy. You're not, this big giant guy. Because put it this way, you can be the whole entire sheriff, number one guy over the department, elected sheriff for 20 years. 20-year sheriff. You can retire with a stellar career. 5, 6 years down the road, you can get stopped by a deputy from the department that you used to run for 20 years, who's a new deputy. He don't even know who you are.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's being number one. So I don't care. You're not a legacy, and it don't matter how much you do. None of us are that great, and none of us want to feel that way. You're in law enforcement. Majority of us are alpha male. We're not going to save the world, and nobody's going to remember you. I mean, you might help, a few of the people that you help will remember you. But other than that, you know who's going to remember you after you're gone is your kids and your family.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, I've questioned since I retired, and questioned a couple of times. Man, I'm not sure I made a difference, and I know I did, but I was questioning it. And I've actually had 2 or 3 people that have contacted me and said, "Yeah, you did." And but on the other hand, that's 3 people over a 26-year career, and the last 6 years, 32 years, 3 people, and I have 3 kids. Mm-hmm. Whose relationship is more important that they care and know I made a difference in whose life?
Oh yeah,
and I mean that's
So you got to put yourself and your family first. Don't put this job first, because let me tell you what I'm going to tell you. I'm talking from experience. You are more than that badge. Okay, you make the badge. The badge don't make you. Okay, Be married to your wife and your family. Don't be married to the job. Too many of us have made that mistake. Oh,
absolutely true. And it's sad. That's when I teach my class. I ask people we talk about communities, and I ask them, what's the most important community in your life? And every one of them says family.
And that's the first one, but the family's the first one that will suffer from us because of the job.
Yeah, I call bullshit, and then I ask him, okay, if that's the number one part of your family or part of your life, why is the divorce rate so high? Why are there so many problems within ourselves and our families, and why do we put them last?
We'll put them last. Then we get, I'd like to call it cop mode. Because a lot of people would ask my wife, even still today, since I'm still active, they're like, they'll see me on the street or whatever. And they're like, man, I call it my wrath face, resting asshole face. But they're like, man, I just have one of them faces where it's like, people's like, man, you look mean or whatever. And then once people actually hear me, my wife's like, I know he's actually funny and stuff like that. It's like when I get dressed to go to work, I've got to where I've learned how to flip a switch. I go from me into cop me. Okay. Yeah. And then when you get home, the hardest thing is to learn how to do is to turn it off. Yep. When you come home, you can't treat your wife. You can't treat your kids like suspects. You can't treat them like you would, on a call. Okay. and it's hard. It's so hard to do that. You gotta practice it. You gotta keep in mind. Watch when you discipline your kids, or the way you talk to your wife, or if you come home, and you had a bad day, let her know. Say, hey, look, I'm going to go take a shower, decompress for a minute, and then leave it in there. Or if you have one, maybe you can sit down and discuss it. Like, look, I had this call, it really upset me, and get that off your chest. Maybe your spouse will understand, because if you keep it inside of you, it's going to eat you.
Absolutely. It will eat you alive and destroy what you've got. That's the one thing I remember going to the academy, and they brought our spouses in and had like a 4-hour session. And they started off with, the divorce rate in law enforcement is really high, but you got to keep communication with your spouse. Now, guys and gals, there's going to be things you're going to see, you're not going to want to share. And there's going to be things you can't, because it's an ongoing investigation. That's bullshit.
Yeah, that's crap.
But keep communication open with your spouse so you don't get divorced. And we're all walked out at the end of 4 hours looking at each other going, and they never gave us any answers. Well, it took me 25 years, but I finally came up with the answer. And that's one thing I talk about, is how to take an event, rephrase it so you're not traumatizing your spouse, but you're keeping that communication open.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really simple, but it's about a 2-hour class, so part of my class. So, but that's it can be done. And if we do that, we keep that communication open. The problems that you are growing, number one, that we're less likely to put the job first if we're having that open, honest communication with our spouse. If we're having open, honest communication, we're going to keep the kids in mind.
And I'm gonna say something that's probably not popular. And I was one of them. I was one of these guys. If you can't come home from work or anytime and lay your cell phone down on the counter, face up, and your wife has your password, and walk away from it, and don't care if she picks it up, you're doing something wrong.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it only with the small things that turn into the big things that destroy.
Well, I'm going to tell everybody, and it's true. You say whatever. See that badge? There's plenty of badge. We call them badge bunnies, whatever. There's plenty of women that love that authoritative figure. They look, they like it. There's plenty of women, they will throw themselves at you. Okay. Let me explain something to you. And one of my old partners said this, and it's true. He says, where the grass is greener at? Everybody say, on the other side of the fence. No, that's not where the grass is greener at. City people may not understand it. The grass is greener on top of the septic tank, okay? Because that's where all the shit's at, okay? You don't want to eat where the shit's at, okay? Stay out the shit.
Yep.
Okay. If you're that unhappy with your marriage, get a divorce, because let me tell you what, from somebody that I was a cheater, I was a bad person, I hurt a lot of people's feelings. And now that I'm older and think back about it, I was very selfish, self-centered like that. I didn't think about anybody else's feeling but my own. And I think that's a lot in law enforcement too.
Absolutely. And the cheating rate in law enforcement is extremely high.
If you don't want to be married, get divorced and don't get remarried.
Yeah.
Right now. But divorce her. Don't just sit there and cheat on her, because you're hurting her or your kids. You're hurting a lot of other people, and you don't think about it that way at the time when you're doing it. You're thinking about yourself.
You don't even really think about it when that's happening.
No. You don't care.
Yeah. But part of it too is, PTSD related. You're seeking thrill. What's the biggest thrill in life that you're putting what's most important to you at risk? And that's your family.
Yeah. It's that big adrenaline rush and stuff like that. Don't do it.
Even though PTSD related, guess what? It's not PTSD doing it. It's still your choice.
Oh yeah. It's still a choice.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was that guy. I can come home right now. Like I said, I don't care. My phone rings, and my wife says, your phone's ringing. I'm like, well, answer it. Who is it? Because you know what? It's nice. You ain't got nothing to hide.
Yeah,
And if, like I said, and test yourself. If you can't lay your phone down, face up and leave it there and not care, great. If you can't, might want to reevaluate what you're doing.
absolutely, yes, yeah. That's great advice there.
Because, well, when I first started, we didn't have these. When pay phones and shit, we thought beepers were, something. Beepers were fancy, but these cell phones and stuff and social media, I think it's made stuff a lot worse with the infidelity. But like I said, test yourself. If you can't do that, like I said, my wife, I could walk up to her right now and she'll hand me her phone.
Yeah.
Because you know what? If you're not hiding nothing, you don't do it. Like I said, I was that person. I always had it face down, on vibrate, nobody could, paranoid as shit. Because Because I was doing bad. I was doing dirt.
Yeah. What's funny though is my wife will hand me hers because she knows she's safe because I can't remember her code.
Me either. Because my wife's like, get my phone. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what's your code? She's like, I've told it to you like 100 times. I'm like, yeah, but I don't remember. It's like, I don't remember. What is it? I'm not good with numbers like that. I have my wife's birthday putting an alarm every year because I'll forget.
Yeah, that's the one thing I do like about social media. It reminds me of birthdays.
Yes. Oh, look, it's a birthday. There's Duke right there. Yeah, I was like, there's so much stuff. I mean, spending money, buying shit you don't need. That's part of post-traumatic stress.
Yep, that's another symptom. Absolutely. Again, putting yourselves at risk, and it's it's short-lived and not worth it.
Yes.
So, yeah, there's so many things, and what's sad is the PTSD will creep up on you. You don't even realize. Well, of course, back when I started, we didn't even know what it was.
Nope, you just have to man up and suck it up.
Yeah.
You go to, everybody's like, I hear it nowadays. Everybody's like, I hear some, thanks, after a bad call or something. Well, if you need to go talk to somebody, I'm like, what? And we were like, all right, guys, I'll go catch the next call. Make sure you got make sure you got no brains on your boots or nothing like that. Going.
Yeah. I mean, or after you see all the brains around the floor, you guys take you out for lasagna just to see stuff more.
But it's just like, it's a little bit different now. So, but back in the day, it's time to suck it up and you just went. I still think it's still in the culture because you don't want to be labeled as some psych guy, and him strip, put you on desk duty somewhere or.
Yeah. Well, and that was back in the day, and I hate that saying, but back in the day, if you wanted to go talk to a counselor or something, they'd find you unfit for duty and get rid of you.
Yep.
And now, like you say, it might be a desk job for a while or whatever, but then you're labeled, and if you're been in law enforcement any period of time, once you're labeled for life.
Oh yeah, whatever you get labeled as.
Yeah, whether it's true or not.
Labeled as a hothead. They watch you constantly. I had that problem. I'm like, I'm not that same young guy no more,
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you fix it or not, or if it's not an issue. It's there.
Always, they're like, they'd look at me. I'm like somebody called, said I called her a fat bitch one time. The sheriff called me. I was like, I didn't say that. He's like, but you thought it, didn't you? I'm like, yeah, but that's not against the rules. I said, but I didn't say it.
That's good for you for not saying
like, did you see her? I mean, I've said shit. I've said shit on track stop. I still have to watch my mouth. That's why I never got past sergeant because I'm not a diplomat. I had a dude call me he was a military guy, so he claims. And I didn't give him a break on a ticket. He was going really fast, and I'm a motorcycle guy. And he called me he looked at me and said, "Call me a fat fucker." And I was like, I said, "Excuse me, So I was going to let him have a chance. I heard him. I was trying to let him have a chance to, retract what he just said. He said, "You fat motherfucker." Well, when I was looking at him. He had one eye that went straight and one that looked off to the side. Okay. I looked at him. I said, "Well, yeah, but at least I can look in the same direction at one time, can I?" He's like, "Oh, I got this." I'm like, I got that in the war. I said, "I fucking doubt it." I said, "Here's your ticket. Have a nice day." When I say have a nice day, I never tell people have a nice day when I give them a ticket, but that's basically me telling you to go fuck yourself. I was like, "Have a nice day." And I'm thinking, I'm going to get called in on this one because I just made fun of the handicapped dude. But you know what? He started it. I don't care. So.
Well, yeah, I love some of the sayings in the South. Bless your little heart.
Yeah. It's like, but one of my reputation is, though, is I don't lie. They called me and said, "Did you tell some girl her boyfriend needed to get off of steroids before his dick fell off?" I'm like, "Yeah, I said that." So it's like, I did. We're gonna have to write you up. I was like, "Okay, yeah, I guess I deserved that one." But yeah, I said it. I mean, now if I don't lie on me, because if you lie on me, I'll fight you to the bitter end. But if I said it, I've always admitted I've said it. I'm like, yeah. I mean, they called me up and said, I was working a crash scene one time, and some dude come up. It's an older lady. She was in a ditch, and she kept saying, "Well, I have AAA." Well, ma'am, AAA is going to take like 4 hours to send a wrecker out here. I'm not sitting here for 4 hours. You're in a curve. But I was like, "Ma'am, some dude was here." And he's like, "Well, she said she had AAA." I'm like, "Who are you? Are you her grandson, husband, what son? What was going on here?" "No, I own this little local store up the road," he said. I was like, "Oh, well." I said, "Good for you." And I went back to do it, and then he interjected himself into my business once again. He said, "Well, I'm the owner of this store." I said, "Okay." I said, "Look here, fella. How's this?" I said, "If I need any advice on how to fucking stock a shelf, I'll call you up, okay? Other than that, why don't you get out of my police business?" Of course, I'll get a phone call later from number 2, the colonel, and he's like, "Did you tell somebody that if you need any advice stocking a shelf, you'd call him?" I was like, "Yeah, dude wouldn't get out of my face, get in my bed." "Well, he's a big contributor to the sheriff's campaign." I was like, "Well, good for him." I said, "Tell him to stay on my damn face." I didn't care. I mean, that's just the way I've always been. So it's like, yeah, I don't care. I mean, it's like, yeah, I don't need, if I wanted to know how to put, does the Kellogg's go here? I mean, what? Leave me alone. I don't tell you how to do your job. Don't tell me how to do my job.
Absolutely. At least you can get away with that.
Oh, some people, yeah, I've been on calls, and like my partner now, I've said stuff, and he said, "Jesus Christ, I can't believe you said that." And I'm like, "What?" Or I was working recently, they had me helping out at the courthouse. They were shorthanded on working the front door, scanning people in with the x-ray machine and metal detectors and all that. There's a metal detector now. It's a full body one, but you got to stand a certain way.
Oh, boy.
It's like you got to stand. To me, it looks like you're a mad chicken the way you got to spread out. And I'm like, "Look, stand like an angry chicken." And the people are like, the other guy there is like, "Oh my God!" And it's like, but then he thought it was funny because I actually got 3 people in one day to go like, because I was like, he's like, "Can't believe you got that woman to cluck like a chicken." It's like, yeah. They told me I had to stop telling people they had to put their kid on a conveyor belt to go through the x-ray machine.
And somebody actually probably tried it, didn't
they? Did. I'm like, "No, I'm just joking." But because I'm like, "Look, you got to put that kid on here. We got to run him through this x-ray machine." And they're like, "Oh," they're like, "You got to stop telling people that." It's like, well, they asked me this one time, this one lady, she said something to me, and I said something back to her, and then she like pushed her titties into me, and then they walked out and said, "You must know her." I'm like, "I've never seen that lady before in my life." They're like, "Jesus Christ!" I said, "You're gonna get all of us fired."
Well, can you see capital BB, Bad Bunny. There.
Well, I told them, I said, they said, you insulted like 5 people today. I was like, yeah, but every one of them insulted. Did they laugh? He said, oh, they were laughing. I said, because if you insult somebody in a comical way and they think you're joking, they just go about their business. They're like, yeah, but you wasn't joking. I said, they didn't know that. They had no clue.
Yeah, perspective is everything, or perception is everything.
They said, you call that big fat girl. You asked that big fat girl for her nickname was Bubbles.
Oh, I would love to actually watch some of this.
And he's like, the other guy was like, oh shit. I pulled over some like real Indians, like feather in the head, Indian from, they had the, license plate and all from the, reserve or whatever. And I'm sitting there and I looked at him and I said, like, you're like really American Indian? The guy's like, yeah. And his name was like, I don't know, Edward Smith or some shit like that. I'm looking. I said, so this is your name. I said, if you're real Indian, I said, shouldn't your name be like Sitting Bear or Clucks Like Chicken or something like that? And he kind of laughed. I said, look, dude, my partner was like shitting himself. I said, look, dude, I'm going to do this for you. Don't do it too long. I said, we stole all y'all land and shit. I ain't even going to write you a ticket. You can have a warning and just go by your business. and the guy left. My partner's like, you gonna so get us fired.
Jeez.
Oh yeah, so they're like, they say you just say shit to people, and it's like I think it's the way you say it, just the way you say it.
You say it with a grin on your face, and
people are like, because they're like, no, you can't. Because I'm like, the first day I was up there, they said, the big X-ray machine you push stuff from, I had never seen it before. It was brand new. And the guy said, of course, I set the alarm off and had to send a technician down to reset the machine. First, it's like, you walked up to it and acted like, you looked like you knew what you were doing. I said, I didn't fuck I was doing. I said, I just figured, they said, haven't you ever heard you don't ever hit the big red button? So I thought that was the button that made it move. It was the emergency shutdown button. It's like I hit it. They had to send a tech down and reset the whole fucking machine. It was the first thing. I had motherfuckers lined up for like half a mile outside the courthouse waiting to get in and shit.
Oh man.
They were like, you just walked up there and you said, fuck it, back. I said, well, now we know, don't we?
Well, there's a solution to that, but I don't think it would work with you. I'm not trying to trust you with it.
What's that?
And that whole line, that's to hand pat every one of them down. But
but that's like, but yeah, I hit the big red button. I was like, they said, you've never watched Austin Powers? I'm like, look, I figured it was the biggest button up there. Must have been the go button. It wasn't.
The biggest button will be the most stuff.
Yeah, it's like, now I said, now we know. Then they put this other thing in. I was the other day, I was talking to you. I said, what's that for right there? Oh, that's the emergency call button. I said, wouldn't they put that in there? Oh, it's new. I said, does it work? He's like, I don't know. And I pushed it. Next thing I know, some detectives come running out of the office.
I
was like, they're like, y'all okay? I was like, yeah, I was just seeing if the shit worked or not. I guess it does. Y'all can go back to sitting at your desk.
Oh, my.
If I did, I was like, let's push it and see it happen. Hey, you ain't gonna find out if shit works or not,
Well, yeah. I mean, hopefully somebody tested it, but
so I'm that guy, They're like, but when the sheriff needs certain stuff done, he actually will call me himself and say, hey, you can go handle this, because they also know if you ask me to do something, I'm going to go do it.
Yeah.
And do it to the best of my ability. But they don't. I'm just kind of a jokester, too, though.
I'll tell you, if I would have said half the stuff you did, I would have been fired in the first 3 years.
Oh, well, I've ran into some deputies out where I used to work at, and some of them, they don't know who I am until they hear my name. They're like, oh, they actually have heard about me, because they have their own academy out here now. One of the instructors used to work with me. We used to be partners, and he still tells stories about me during ethics class on shit you should not say or do.
Perfect.
Yeah, they like, oh, we heard about you. It's like they like told me you cannot. I had this one woman. She told me that after I wrote her this ticket, she was going to go home and kill herself. I'm like, well, make sure you pay your ticket first. Well, about 3 weeks later, I pulled the same freaking woman over. And she's cussing me up a storm, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm writing her ticket out. She's cussing me. Finally, I looked up at her. I said, so you ain't got around to killing yourself yet. I mean, obviously, she's a fucking liar because this was 3 weeks ago. She said she was going home to kill herself. Well, here she is cussing at me again. And I told him, I said, like, you told that woman she can get around to kill. I said, well, she's a liar. You gonna believe her now to what she said? Because obviously she didn't kill herself 3 weeks ago when she said she was. She's not trustworthy.
Oh, jeez. So, how many policies do you have named after you?
Oh, I got quite a few policies. Yeah, they're like, yeah. Well, I got a buddy of mine. He retired. He's a retired motor cop, and I can't get him. He will not come on for some reason. But even though he's retired, but he was, when he pulled juveniles over, he would tell them, he'd ask them what kind of grades they had, and if they had decent grades, he'd just give them a warning. Well, he pulled this one kid over one time. He's like, what kind of grades you got, kid? He's like, well, I got D's and some F's. He's like, well, maybe if you wasn't out here driving around like you were retarded and at home studying, maybe you'd have decent grades. What a kid was like in the special ed classes and shit. So he went home all crying and upset because the cop called the retarded kid retarded. he got called in. He's like, yeah. He's like, you think, yeah, but the kid's like, he's like, then what the hell is he doing driving him? He's retarded.
Oh man. How many situations have you run into like that in your career?
Well, somebody asked me one time, they're like, I wrote this deaf woman a ticket. And they were like, how you write a deaf woman a ticket? I said, well, fuck. I said, you don't have to hear the speed limit sign. I said, if she was blind and driving that good, I'd probably let her go. I said, the kid knew sign language. Or it's like, you pull somebody over, it's like, and I know a lot of cops don't like working traffic. I was always a traffic guy. I actually passed up detective jobs to stay in traffic. They were like, pull this lady over. She's like, well, my house burnt down. It's like, is it on fire right this moment? Well, no, it's like 3 weeks ago. All right, that's not an excuse. Your house burned down 3 weeks ago. I mean, what you trying to do? You Marty McFly or something? You trying to go back to the future or something? I mean, you can't. It's not going to help. It's like, yeah. It's like,
oh man.
Yeah, I've been.
I'm the opposite of you. I went detectives and all that, and I had fun when I was there.
Yeah, I was offered. I've actually passed up lieutenant's position twice to stay in motors. I was and like I said, I've been in motors since '99. I got about 20 months left out, and my goal was to retire off of a motorcycle. So I'm almost there. I'm feeling every inch of it, though.
Oh yeah, it's a young man's game.
Yes, it is. I'm the oldest person on motors in my division, and there's not a lot of us that are my age that are still in motor that ride. So.
Yeah, I can say I don't know anybody that's your age. Most of the guys are in their late 20s, early 30s.
Oh, yeah,
30s.
I've been down twice. My back's all messed up. Just paying for it the rest of my life.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too. Talking to the young guys, you got to let them know, man. Take care of yourself physically too, because you let yourself get. And I'm not saying you're out of shape, but you let yourself get out of shape. You let yourself get. You're going to get beat up in a fight.
Well,
you're going to.
It's easy because especially working night shifts and stuff. Well, maybe not now. Back in that, we had McDonald's and Burger King and gas station food. That's all you had.
Yep, absolutely. And half the gas stations were closed too.
Nah, them gun belts are not nice on your back. Well, a lot of the guys now are allowed to wear tack vests, which we weren't allowed to do that. To put take some of the weight off of your. I had lost feeling I've gotten some of it back. I had lost like feeling on my gun sight in my hip and leg area. I had went to the doctor, and she said it was from the gun belt all them years and stuff like that. I had pinched a nerve, and she said, that the longer I stay out of a gun belt, I'll start getting more of the feeling back, which it's still kind of, but it was from wearing a duty belt all them years.
Yeah, those the last 4 years I was at Transit, we went with those vests, and I'll tell you what a life changer.
Yeah, it takes a lot of that,
And you get in your car, you can unstrap it down and get that air conditioner running on you.
Yeah, people don't realize. I mean, my duty belt, you weight, it's like 35, 40 pounds of shit. And everybody's like, "Oh, look, that cop's having a hard time keeping up with him." The bad guy has tennis shoes on. In shorts or blue jeans. The cop's running with boots on and 40 pounds around his waist. Yep.
It's amazing we still catch a lot of them.
Yeah. I was like, then you're sitting in that car. You don't experience it until you got handcuffs digging in your back and everything else.
Yeah. And every year something else comes out. They want to try something new.
Oh, yeah. Well, I still don't carry a taser. I'm certified in it, and I've never tased anyone. Tasers only work 40% of the time. I think this younger generation is too reliant on a taser. I don't carry an asp or a stick or nothing anymore, but I still carry my Freeze Plus P, my spray, because that spray works. A lot of these youngsters don't use it because it gets on you and it burnt. Deal with it.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, like I said, I used my taser once, and the top prong hit him right where it should, right between on the breastbone. Bottom prong bounced off his 2-inch wide leather belt, and I ended up in a fight. Yeah,
but you watch a lot of the stuff. A lot of the youngers they so reliant on that taser, and I've seen the guy's got a knife. You do not pull a fucking taser out when the dude's got a knife. Okay, you're in a deadly force.
Deadly force.
He could kill you with that knife. You don't pull a taser out. What a fucking knife fight.
I've studied martial arts for many years, and I'll tell you now, if you're in a knife fight, whether you win or lose, you're still getting your ass cut.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to be pleasant.
And I ain't going to take a chance with no taser.
No.
I bought my wife a stun gun that's got more voltage than that freaking taser does. I think the taser's only, what 40,000? No.
Yeah, I think.
I brought my wife a stun gun that's like, 1,000,000 volts. It'll knock you out. It'll knock you unconscious. That
I want.
Yeah, I want to electrify you enough where you're going to piss your own pants when you do it.
But if they have a knife, I'm still not using that.
No. Deadly force situation you don't put. But nowadays, the young, and I'm not bashed on young cops. That's the way they're trained. They're trained like that, and they're training them with all this other stuff. And I understand de-escalation. I know how to de-escalate. I think verbal judo was fantastic. I love it. But it's like now that these younger cops almost put themselves in bad situations trying to de-escalate.
Well, a lot of that's coming from the media and stuff, because if you do anything at all as a cop anymore,
shoot them in the leg. Okay. This ain't the movies. Yeah. This ain't the movie.
Thank you, Hollywood.
Yeah, you can. Well, of course, we got some people like Sleepy Joe. Said 9mm will blow your lung completely out. What kind of fucking 9mm you get shot with?
Yeah, no
blowing
kidding.
Your lung completely out of you. Come on, you're a dumbass.
Or somebody's up on your porch breaking into your house, just rack a shotgun. The sound will scare them away.
No, I'm going to shotgun you, but it's not going to be. You might hear the rack right before you hear the boom.
Yep. I went with one we used at work, so for my home defense.
Well, I bought a bullpup, with a 15 shell clip magazine that goes in it. I bought some dragon breath, but you can't shoot them in your house. Catch your house on fire. Somebody looked at me and said, you got one of your clips with your magazines with dragon breath in it? I'm like, yeah, them fuckers are like $8 a shell. They're like, if you shoot somebody with that, I said, yeah, they're going to catch on fire. Because you know what? If I'm shooting somebody, I'm not shooting them just to scare them. So, yeah, if they're outside and I shoot them with it and they catch on fire, guess what? They're going to run around hollering they're on fire, and they're not going to be fucking with me.
Yep, game over.
They'll look like Ricky Bobby, but on fire for real. Yet running around saying, I'm on fire. I'm just gonna shoot you. We've had some shooting here recently. A road race shooting. Guy got out of his car and went to the car behind him, pissed off because the guy blew his horn or something at him. Yanked his car door open and caught a 40 right in the gut for it and died. And that's called self-defense. And the one that pulled the trigger went home that afternoon because there was no charge. Yeah.
It's crazy. That's another thing that's crazy in the world today is all this crap that I saw one yesterday or today. Guy was hijacking a car and some public service employee got out to help and stopped him. And the guy ended up in this public service employee's truck, one of those great big 2-ton, the big service vehicles.
Yeah.
And then the service employee pulled a gun and shot through the door about 5-6 times. And then the guy backed up and ran him over with his own truck.
Jesus.
It was not pleasant to watch. And if I'm saying that, I've seen a few things, man.
They probably wanted to charge the guy for shooting them.
Well, they may. I don't think they're going to be able to, but yeah, I don't think he survived that one.
We tried to talk to the dead guy, but he wouldn't give a statement.
He refused to cooperate.
Yeah, he refused to cooperate with our statement. So that's the news media for you. Look, I appreciate it. If some people wanted to get in touch with you about having you come speak or whatever, how would they do that?
They could go to my website, GDub, that's GDUB author.com, or they could email me again, Glen at GDUBauthor.com, GDub short for GW. Got that from playing football with a JDub.
When's your you got anything when your next book's coming out, or are you still working on it?
Well, I got about the next book should be out. Let me see. I got 2 publishers that want it, and I've got about 80 more pages before it's done. So it's going to be probably a year before it's out.
Oh, good deal.
But it's about a cop, of course.
Well, of course. Is he a smart mouth cop?
Well, not yet, but I might have to adjust that.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. Don't hang up yet. I'm just going to close it out. Everybody, I appreciate y'all listening. Hope y'all enjoyed it. I do. I like when I do have guests. Everybody remember to watch your back, watch your partner's back. Remember, we're not sheepdogs. We're lions. And smile, because Iceman could always be behind you. My little saying there, yeah.